Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to discuss the context of agreeableness. And this is something, again, that really throws people off course when it comes to looking at the reaction of a dog by way of appearances. And I encourage people to really consider what I'm saying as you're applying certain concepts by way of this superficial process that motivates dogs to respond using motivating agents in terms of even redirecting, okay, how a dog is expressing control and investing. Because again, this is what sets people up into making assumptions that more often than not simply are not true. And again, the way to look at this, because again, the example lines up almost exactly, is if you were to do what these trainers are doing in light of my example with a already selfish child, between an already selfish child and say a parent, with a individual, say a so-called professional, who's advocating and selling appearances that way, leading people into false assumptions. And so it'd be no different. Again, so when you apply certain concepts, think about, say, counter conditioning is a good example in terms of a applied concept, but it's applied in a superficial way that again leads people into assuming things just based on perceptions or based on appearances by way of the agreeableness, the change of direction by way of a dog in terms of what a dog is, how a dog is expressing by way of control. And it's no different again than the selfish child. By using a motivating agent, such as, say, you can imagine a chocolate bar, okay, you line this stuff up, something that the child desires, as a child is, say, having a temper tantrum, is expressing bad behavior towards, say, somebody or situation, and suddenly the parent pulls out a chocolate bar and holds it in front of the child's face, waves it around, and gets their attention. Again, that changes, right away, that changes the direction the child is taking by way of expressing bad behavior, having a fit, saying, oh, okay, well, that changes things. But again, think about the appearance of that, and think about how that's being sold in the dog training world, pulling out some treats, or even now you have trainers talking about, these purely positive balanced dog trainers talking about rewarding bad behavior. Well, they have the motivating agent out there, and what they're doing is they're looking at the change by way of how a dog is expressing a level of control, and they're thinking, because here's the reality, they're not actually thinking, okay, they're assuming, but they're like, well, this and this is what the narrative is, that they're telling dog owners, well, I know this seems opposite, but look at what this is doing. It's creating this appearance of agreeableness as though the whole relationship is changing course. Well, agreeableness is the fact that you're you're using a motivating agent, or you're interacting in a way that is causing the in terms of the dog investing to redirect that state of mind, and then you're rewarding for a dog for assuming that things are lining up. This is where that whole interpretive narrative by way of what is defined as a neutral state, trying to work off some sort of a baseline to reward for an appearance of agreeableness or change, and leading people into false assumptions in terms of relationship. Because again, always take everything I say and apply it to the selfish child example. You're pulling out a chocolate bar, or you have an Xbox game, you have something you're using to elicit or generate a response to motivate, but also that changes the direction of what's being expressed at the same time in terms of the illusion of agreeableness. Of course, it's going to be very agreeable, but what's the ask yourself the question, you have to apply context. You just can't take something, appearance of change, and just remove the relationship side of things right out of the equation. That's what these trainers are doing. Understand, it's not like they're taking a three-dimensional view, or they're overlaying the relationship over that what's being generated by way of a change, by way of appearances, or a response or agreeableness. They're not overlaying the relationship over it and putting it in context that way. If we were to do that, people would get very wise very quickly, say, wow, that isn't lining up. That's looking this way through how they're engaging that way and how they're selling it that way, but that is not leading, making anything better. It's actually making things worse, because you're deceiving people. You're leading people, and then what's the next step? Oh, there's got to be something wrong with the dog. I mean, what's going on? Why isn't this lining up? No, it's not lining up. Here is a superficial process. What's missing is context. What's missing is any depth. And of course, people are going to buy into it. How great is that, right? Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want the chocolate bar and the Xbox games? It's leading people into a deception. But here's the thing: is when you use the parenting example, it seems much more obvious for whatever reason, right? That makes more sense because you're a parent and you can make sense of what I'm saying. But with dogs, right? Because sometimes things don't seem as apparent because of how we invest, and because they're animals, they're social animals. But trust me, this line's right up. Okay, there's no difference at all. And this is the challenge. Sometimes people, they must think dogs are somehow lack depth, and just like, well, no. They're dogs are amazing animals, and the amazing thing is that of all this is that people dismiss dogs as being amazing animals, and they're assuming things, and they're actually not honoring the fact that dogs are amazing animals. And ultimately, this is why so many dogs are being destroyed, because dogs are rejecting that. Ultimately, they're saying, okay, well, you can play that game, but it's not what you think it is. I'll take the treats and I'll do all this, but I'm still in control, and I'm gonna prove it to you, because I'm gonna bite someone later, or someone's gonna get hurt, and that's on you, right? I'm just being a dog. You guys are being stupid humans, thinking that you have all the answers here, and you're gonna lead me into what exactly? You're leading yourself into a deception, not leading them anywhere. They're following the path of nature. The human's deceived. The humans be fooling themselves. So again, I'll put it out there. What a joke this has become. But again, this is challenging because people have bought into this lie, and bought into it financially too, because they're paying all these trainers to lead them into it. But I would challenge any dog owner to consider what I'm saying. Line this stuff up by way of my parenting example make complete sense. So don't be deceived. Understand these trainers are making bank off this stuff. Their whole business is set up on this superficial process without any context, and they can't talk about it because if they do, then the whole entire thing is going to crumble. But understand, it's already crumbled. It already doesn't line up. It's just the fact that people aren't aware of it yet. The reality of it. They're not lining this stuff up. They're buying into the blame shifting game and blaming dogs. In reality, these trainers should be blamed in the process they're selling. But the trainers need to take the blame. They're getting away from, they're weaseling out of this by way of how they're selling it. But my goal is to make people aware of what these trainers are doing. So number one is you can save your dog, you save your money, save your time, and don't buy into it. If you're a dog owner watching my videos, my encouragement is don't buy into this lie. These trainers, I believe many of them actually know what they're doing. This is how bad it is. They're actually doing it on purpose because they should know better, and it doesn't line up, but they just don't care. A lot of these trainers, they have no ethics at all. They're making money, so they're big deal. Just going to the next dog. So anyway, I encourage you, check out my website. Lots of great information about the problem, but also the solution. Thanks for watching.